third method for graphing linear equations, okay? Our third method. Please copy this heading in your notes if you would, please. It is a rather long heading, but please copy this heading down. Graphing linear equations by using the slope-intercept method, lesson 4.6. And be sure and include today's date, alright? Be sure and include today's date. Now, like always, guys, I'm going to go pretty fast, so pause the video as much as you need to, alright? And here we go. Let's take a second and review. I feel like that would be really smart to do. First, remember we have learned how to graph a linear equation by using the table of values method, okay? Now here's an example. If you want to write this down, you can. You don't have to. You can just sit back and watch if you would like to, okay? Let's say I have y equals negative 3x plus 4. If I asked you to graph that using the table of values method, you would go like this, and you would write a table of values that holds 3 ordered pairs. Next, you would pick 3x values. Now, you can pick any number that you want, okay? You should remember this. I recommend using smart, small numbers like maybe negative 1, 0, and 1, something like that. Next, you substitute these values in one at a time to find the y values. So where x is, I'm going to put a negative 1. Negative 3 times negative 1 is 3, plus 4 is 7. Alright. Next, I'm going to substitute 0 in for x. Negative 3 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. Then lastly, I'm going to substitute 1 in for x. Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, positive 4, which would give you a 1. Now, I'm not trying to teach you right now. If I was, I would go a lot slower. You should know this already. I'm just reviewing. You then draw your coordinate plane. And again, you don't have to take notes on this if you don't want to. I just want you to watch and listen. So I'm going to plot negative 1, 7, 0, 4, 1, 1. Now those points should theoretically line up in pretty much a straight line, okay? Connect your 3 points, and there you go. That's called the table of values method, alright? Now, second, remember we have learned how to graph linear equations by using the double intercept method. So here's an example. Watch this carefully, please. Alright, here let's say our equation is negative 2x plus 4y equals 12, okay? And I asked you to graph that using the double intercept method. Well, you want to find the x and the y-intercepts. So in order to find the x-intercept, you put 0 in for not x, but you put 0 in for y. So negative 2x, positive 4, put a 0 for the y right here. 4 times 0 is 0, negative 2x plus 0 is negative 2x. Divide both sides by negative 2 and you get negative 6. So there's the x-intercept, alright? Negative 6. Now to find the y-intercept, we put 0 in for x. So to find the y-intercept, we put 0 in for x. Here's x. I put a 0. Then positive 4y equals 12. Negative 2 times 0 is 0, 0 plus 4y is 4y. Divide both sides by 4 and y equals 3. So the y-intercept is 3. Now guys, again, I'm not teaching you this. If I was, I would go a lot slower. This should be review, okay? So I hope this rings somewhat of a bell. Okay, it should. Let's go ahead and draw our coordinate plane here. Here's my y-axis. Here's my x-axis. Now, the x-intercept is negative 6. So I go to negative 6 on the x-axis. There we go. On the y-intercept is 3, so on the y-axis I would go to 3. And there we go. We sketch our line. and we've graphed the linear equation, okay? That's called the double intercept method. Now, both of those methods work on any linear equation. I'm just saying to you, know them both, okay? Now, today we're going to be looking at our third method called the slope-intercept method, okay? Before I get into those steps, I need to teach you a couple of things that you will need to know in order to use the slope-intercept method. So please take really good notes and write down this information. It's really, really important you understand this. Do you understand, students? Here we go. Anytime you are given a linear equation in which y is by itself like this, write this down, please. Copy this down, please. Anytime you have a linear equation in which the equation is solved for y, or in other words, y is all by itself, anytime you have a linear equation, and this is a linear equation because the power of my y is 1 and the power of my x is 1, or the exponent is 1 and 1. Anytime a linear equation has y all by itself, you know two things immediately. This is so cool. Write this down, please. Please take notes on this. You know two things immediately. Don't ever forget this. This is called a core objective to your algebra classes right here. Anytime a linear equation has y all by itself, you immediately know the slope. It is always the number with the x. So your slope is -1/2. And you always know the y-intercept. It is the constant term right here. Please don't ever forget that. Let me say it again for the fourth or fifth time. Anytime a linear equation has y all by itself, you know two things immediately. You know what the slope is, and you know what the y-intercept is. In fact, I'm going to grab my keyboard here, and I want you to write that sentence in your notes, please. So please write this sentence in your notes. Here it is. Please copy this down into your notes. Please copy this in your notes. Whenever a linear equation has y all by itself, you know two things right away. You know what the slope is, and you know what the y-intercept is. Period. Please don't ever forget that, okay? So with that in mind, if I gave you an equation like this, now watch this. Write this down, please. If I gave you this equation right here, -3x plus 4y equals 7. This should be 4y. If I gave you this equation here, -3x plus 4y equals 7, I said, hey, what's the slope? And what's the y-intercept? All you have to do is get y by itself. Watch. Bring the 3x over and make it positive. Divide everything by 4. And you're left with 7 over 4 is 1 3/4. And the number in front of x would be 3/4. So there, I took this linear equation and I got what? All by itself. Y. So I know what the slope is. What number's with the x? 3/4 is with the x, so my slope is 3/4. And I know the y-intercept is 1 3/4. Do you see it or not, guys? You need to make sure you understand this. If not, watch this again, okay? Anytime a linear equation is solved for y, or in other words, has y all by itself, you know two things right away. You know what the slope is, and you know what the y-intercept is. Always. Got it? There's one more thing you need to know, and we're going to move on. Please write this down. Slope is always denoted by the letter m. y-intercept is always denoted by the letter B. Write that down and don't forget that. So from now on, the rest of the year, if I ask you to solve, if I say to find the m of a linear equation or find b of the linear equation, you will know what I mean. When I say find m, that's the slope. When I say find b, that's the y-intercept. All of this stuff you need to understand. Okay? So back it up and watch it again if you need to. It's very important you understand this. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the main part of today's information, alright, today's notes. Here are the steps for the slope-intercept method. Now, like usual, students, I'm going to go pretty fast, so just pause the video when you need to, okay? But the steps for using the slope-intercept method are as follows. First, you solve the linear equation for y. Next, you place the y-intercept on the coordinate plane. Next, you use the slope to get another point. And then you draw the line. That's it. This is not a difficult situation. This is not a difficult procedure, guys. It's pretty simple, okay? Alright, let's go ahead and try some of these. Let's practice 4 examples, okay? Please take really good notes. When you go to write your coordinate plane, please don't try to write one as fancy as this one. Just put your axes like this. Put tick marks on it like that, and that'll be sufficient, okay? Alright, let's graph this linear equation by using the slope-intercept method, okay? Are you ready? Step 1 says get y by itself. Solve the linear equation for y, which is the same thing as getting y by itself. Now, if I want to get y by itself or solve the equation for y, the first thing I do is I bring 7x over and I make it negative. So now I have 3y equals 12 negative 7x. Got it? Now divide each term by 3 to get y by itself, okay? 3's cancel. 12 divided by 3 is 4. A negative divided by a positive is negative 7/3. Is step 1 completed? Well, you tell me. Is the equation solved for y? Is y all by itself? Yes, it is. So step 1 is done. Now, students, if I've accomplished step 2, step 1, which I have, next says place the y-intercept on the coordinate plane. Now, guys, I'm not being, grouchy or anything, but did we not just learn way back here that when y is by itself, we know 2 things: the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is the number beside the x, and b, the y-intercept, is the constant term. We just learned that. So, come down here, let's write everything out. My slope is what? Negative 7/3. Never write that as a mixed number. Never. Okay? B is 4. B is your y-intercept. Do you see where I got these 2 numbers from? So step 2 says to place your y-intercept on the y-axis. So come over here and go to 4. There we go. Okay? Now, students, please listen to me carefully. The next step is the hardest. We're going to use the slope to get another point. Okay? Here's what I mean by that. Here's your slope, right? Everybody see that? Everybody see that? Your top number is your what? Rise. Your bottom number is your what? Run. Now, I don't care if you put the negative sign up top or if you put it in the bottom, but don't put it in both. Pick one or the other. It doesn't matter. You'll still get the same answer, okay? I'm going to put it up top right now. So I would advise you to do the same thing so that our notes are the same, okay? Alright, here we go. Now, students, understand something. If this slope right here was positive, then it really wouldn't matter about your signs, okay? But if your slope is negative, you put the negative in the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter. Either one, okay? Alright, so here we go. Now watch what I do here. According to your steps, it says to, if I get my pen to work here, hold on a second, guys, it's not working very well. Okay, use the slope to get another point. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start right here. Do not start at the origin. Do not start over here positive 7, is it? Negative. So we go down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right there, okay? Now your run number, look over here. Your run number is 3. That's a positive 3. So we go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're finished. Just that simple. Sketch your line. And you're totally fine, okay? Just like that. Piece of cake. Now, I will say this. Some of you might wonder, well, Mr. Earhart, what if I put that negative sign in the bottom? Okay, let's see what happens. Watch this. Let's say I put the negative sign in the bottom right here. Okay, here we go. So we start right here like we're supposed to. And my rise number is a positive 7. Alright. Let's get some more spaces here. Okay, so we're going to rise 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. And then we're going to run negative 3. So 1, 2, 3, boom. Look at that. It still falls right on the line. So you would still get the exact same line like this. So it does not matter where you put the negative sign. Do you understand? You will get the right answer if everything is done correctly. So let's review. First, get y by itself. After you do that, write out your m and your b. Pick up your b, put it on the y-axis, and then use rise and run to get another point. Let's try another one. You can work ahead or watch me, okay? Let's graph this linear equation by using the slope-intercept method. Step 1, we're going to get y by itself. Now if I want to get y by itself, I'm going to bring the negative 2x over and make it a positive 2x. Okay? So now I have negative 5y equals 10 plus 2x. Now we're going to divide everything by negative 5 to get y by itself. Now guys, now students, the negative 5's cancel right here, leaving you with y. 10 over negative 5 is negative 2. A positive over a negative is negative. Now please look here, students. A positive over a negative is a negative. And 2 over 5 is 2/5. Do you understand? So step 1 is done. Listen guys, anytime I ask you to graph an equation using the what method? The slope-intercept method. The first thing you do is you get y by itself. The second thing you do then is write out, well, this is not one of your steps, but it would help if you would quickly stop and write out your slope and write out your y-intercept. There we go. Now step 2 says to pick up your y-intercept and put it on the y-axis. So here we go. The y-intercept is negative 2. Here's the y-axis. Go to negative 2 and put your point. Now from that point we're going to rise and run. Now let's put our negative in the bottom this time, okay? So my rise number would be 2. A positive 2. 1, 2. My run number's a negative 5. 1 to the left, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And look at that, we're finished. Simply, that's not a very good line, but you get the point. You simply connect the 2 points and you have your line. Okay, not too bad, guys. Let's try another one. You can work ahead or you can watch me, it's up to you. Let's graph this linear equation using the slope-intercept method. Step 1, we are going to get y by itself. So bring the 3x over and make it a negative 3x. Now I have negative 2y equals 7 negative 3x. Now divide everything by negative 2. Alright, these cancel and I'm left with a positive over a negative is negative. A negative over a negative is positive. And so what do we have? We have a slope that is what? Positive 3/2. And we have a y-intercept that is what? Negative 7/2. Got it? So step 1 is now done. Get y by itself. We've done that. Now step 2 is to plot the y-intercept. Well, this is a little weird, guys. Your y-intercept is negative 7 over 2. Don't you think it'd be easier to plot that on our y-axis if we wrote it like a mixed number or a decimal? In other words, negative 7 halves is the same thing as negative 3.5 or negative 3.5. Okay? So that's where we're going to plot our y-axis at. 1, 2, 3.5. There. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. From this point right here, we're going to rise and we're going to run, right? Notice my slope is positive, so both of my numbers, top and bottom, are positive. Now when you go to rise 3, here's your rise number 3. Here's your run number, okay, right here. When you go to rise 3, please do not go 1, 2, 3. You have to go whole steps. In other words, if you're at a half right here, you go to a half, to a half, to a half. If you go from here to here, that's only half of a rise. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? In other words, if you were here, you would not go halfway and say 1. You would go from here to here is 1, 2, 3, etc. So, if I'm going to go up 3, my rise number is 3. I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to run 2, positive 2, 1, 2. So right there's my other point. Sketch your line, and you're finished. I hope you're getting this okay, students, okay? Alright, one more example and we're finished. Now, I threw this one at you just for the fun of it to review a little bit. When you look at this, you should notice right away you have only an x. Now, we talked about this in your last video. Anytime your equation has only an x or only a y, you're going to have either a horizontal line or a vertical line. One or the other. Do you understand? Okay? So, do I have an x and a y? No, I do not. I have only an x. We call that a single variable linear equation. Single variable linear equation. And what you do is you get x all by itself. So bring the 3 over and make it a negative 3. And you're left with 6. Divide both sides by 2 and x equals 3. So what does this say? Does it say y equals 3? No, it says x equals 3. So don't go to the y-axis. Go to the x-axis and put a point at 3. And then draw a line that goes straight through that point. Draw a vertical line that goes straight through that point. And that, students, is the graph. Alright, there it is. Here's your y-axis, here's your x-axis, and you have a vertical line. Anytime you have just an x or just a y, you will always have either a horizontal line or a vertical line. Guys, I hope this video has been a help to you. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to call or email.